ഈ പറഞ്ഞ ആക്ടിവിറ്റീസ് ഒക്കെ ഇല്ലേ നമ്മളും ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാം കേട്ടോ. ടു മൈ ബെസ്റ്റ് ടീച്ചറിന്റെ മെമ്മറീസിനെ പറ്റി നമുക്ക് ഇപ്പോൾ ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാം. കാരണം നമ്മൾ വേറെ പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റിന് വേണ്ടി ചെയ്തിട്ടില്ല.
ഞാൻ ഇവിടുന്ന് തൊട്ടിട്ട് പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റിൽ ഇടുവേ. ലൈക്ക് ഇപ്പോൾ പറഞ്ഞ തൊട്ടിട്ടൊക്കെ പോഡ്കാസ്റ്റിലും. സോ ഹായ് എവറി വൺ, വെൽക്കം ബാക്ക് ടു ConnecTree Podcast. I hope you're doing amazingly well. So we are again back with another episode, and this episode is going to be really special because there's something new we are going to do. And this month was about failure, so we thought we'll discuss about how this month went, because this month was literally all about failures for even us, because we have recorded podcasts multiple times and those were failures. Insta lives were failures, and so many things were there to talk about. So I think this episode will be the discussion of all of that. So we have Aisha, we have Azhar, we have Nitin, Alan, Hajra and Rizwan. So yeah, let's start. Right. So we have faced a lot of failures this month. So let's start from that itself, I guess. Starting from the beginning. So where did we fail ultimately from the beginning? What was right? What was wrong? What was right? What was wrong?
We didn't fail actually. We learned something.
Yeah, we didn't account for things which could have gone wrong.
We discovered different ways that this way can be failed.
Absolutely, because I still remember, that day we recorded podcast first for failures. That was actually a good episode.
That was an amazing episode, and I was looking forward to that episode.
We had a great discussion, but the tool we used that ditched us, or the networks ditched us, and so many things ditched us, and ultimately then we again did record that same thing, right? Azhar and even that also didn't work. That was also a failure. So the episode about failures was a failure. That was how we kind of made us be calm.
Ironic.
Yeah. It's okay.
It's like when we said that the failure will be for the theme of the month, we kind of manifested failure.
I have a question to start. So, as Rizwan said, we recorded the podcast multiple times, but the first time I was so into that episode, and that was a great discussion we had. But when we tried to repeat that conversation, we can't create that intensity or that kind of discussion. Do you believe that the spontaneity of discussion and conversation is so important when we try to duplicate it, or when we try to create another effort or take replica of that particular thing? Won't happen.
Yeah, anytime, any day, I believe, because I'm always, all the episodes, all the the reels, whatever that I've created so far, none of that have been scripted. None of that. I just remember I think two episodes were scripted. One among that being a trailer of my podcast, and the another one being I did a Mother's Day episode where I literally wrote down a few things. Apart from that, everything I do, I wanted that spontaneity to be there, because I wanted to make mistakes, because that also allowed me to again, build on that later on. So I always keep that.
Yeah. Same. I even when I record reels, somebody used to tell me it sounds very dramatic or melancholic and all. And when they say that, actually what I do is probably I'll be about to sleep. I'll be lying on my bed. I won't even take my paper or phone or write it down. What comes in when I'll just record. And that spontaneity you will not even get after writing and reading the same thing.
Yeah, I have an incident to share that. I always have different kind of thoughts in my mind. So when thought hits, I told myself I will write it down later. But I can't get that thought. I can't get the intensity of that thought when I'm sitting in front of a book and paper. So I can't put into that words. So what I'm doing right now is just on my switch on my recorder and record what I feel, literally with a kind of modulation, with a kind of maybe the song will be playing in the background. Maybe that I will explain each and every minute detail that where I am in. That I am sitting in front of a lake or a backwater, and the song will be playing in the backside, and I will be recording in that mode itself, that voice modulation itself. So I can get back that intensity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Whereas
I
I don't get that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I have done that, but then I never post them. I have done that, but then when it comes to posting, I'm like, I need a script. I write down a script. But then on random
Maybe
days,
I don't want to post it out, but I want that moment to be remembered into my personal memory.
I think it's very important. I know that actually comes down to something like, be in the moment, because like whether it is being a failure or success or whatever the moment is, it's very important to be in that moment, because if that is gone, there is this concept I think in Japanese only, like ichigo ichi, like this is the moment, right? This moment only, like something like that, where it's like it's very important to go through it. And even if it's the failures, I think it's very important to go through it and experience that, because maybe like, okay, this is nothing, or like not embracing that, like not taking that is also the fact. Maybe us accepting the fact that okay, the episodes about failures is also a right thing to do, because if we don't do that, we'll be like constantly trying to justify as okay, we did that, but that didn't happen. Like we might not have an answer for that, but we made a mistake, and that also is something, a conclusion like to what had happened, right?
Sometimes some thoughts and some questions is a key for that vulnerability to open up. So that won't happen when we try to replicate that particular thing. I don't know I make sense, but there is one thing I believe. There is one person inside you that you won't know, and he or she will talk to you in a very private moment, and they won't come out every moment. It's so special at that moment. They'll be talking a lot of stuff, but you can't get it. It's an exclusive stuff, so you need to capture that at that moment itself.
Yeah, it's very true, very
I
true.
think when you're not spontaneous, when you have plans, you have a lot of inhibitions, you have expectations built up. But when you're spontaneous, there's nothing. Whatever comes, just comes, and you have that energy, you have that freedom. When you expect to meet that later on, it's like these boundaries that we set. We kind of try to reach there, reach up to that limit. That's why we kind of struggle. When you're spontaneous, we don't know where the limit is. We just go. Wherever we end up is the end kind of thing. That is there, I think.
Sorry guys, can't relate. I have to note down.
I know there is this one thing, right? There is only one first time, right? Like there is this one question, right? In an empty stomach, how many chapatis can you eat?
One.
Well, like once you had something, it's already not an empty stomach, right? The same way, like like when you have done once, I think you can't recreate that. Like yesterday I went to this flea market, like the flea fest that is happening in Calicut. Partaholic was performing there, and I was like, he was just singing so awesome, and I was like being there, and we were having a conversation. Few of my friends were there, and we were having like a great conversation because of something that Ismail said, and suddenly something, like as others said, that a person in me, he spoke, okay, and I discussed, and the second thing I did was like, okay, like I didn't wanted that thought to go. I just took down my phone and I was like writing down. And this friend of mine, he was looking at me like, are you really serious? Like, because like the song is going, like he's singing, okay, he's singing, people are like dancing, and like so many things are going on. And I am like literally writing down like in my content bank on my phone, okay, I want this to be a reel later on. I want to create a reel on this. And because I knew that, okay, if that is gone at that time, and literally I wrote on, okay, Ismail, this was the emotion, this was the like this was like the thought I had, this is why that happened and all that. So that's very true. And coming that the first event, or like let's start from the first things what we have done. So first was a failure.
It makes a lot of connection, no? For example, all these things about failures, we learned a lot from them. And probably the first person to have seen us fail might be the first event that you're talking about.
Yeah. So obviously it's a teachers, right? So we started with teachers, right? We had a teachers day celebration this month, and Aisha teacher, like she did a reel and all. And I really want to also like take this platform to appreciate Aisha basically for saying like I want to do that reel and all that, because really we were not expecting, and I think that was like the second reel that teacher did, and my god, that was really good. So
Thank you.
yeah,
And
awesome.
thanks, Adara, for the content.
Yeah, awesome. So that is one thing. Yeah. So we started with the Teachers Day, and the question we had was like, okay, anyone could be a teacher, right? And we also might have had a lot of teachers at a lot of time, and even at the places which we even didn't think, okay, we might needed one or we would get one. So how is that? Who is that one person? Let's answer that question for us, right? For the audience as well. Like, who is that one person, who taught, like suddenly that comes to your mind, who taught you something and have been an amazing teacher or a mentor in your life?
There have been quite a few. Quite a few. But if I think specifically, there is one teacher I had in 10th standard, I think. No, I would say 8th. She left the school in 10th standard around the end of 9th standard, I believe. But I met her in 8th, and I was new to the school. I was new to Middle East. I had nobody. I did not know anyone. Nobody knew me. No teachers knew me. And there was this random school drama, like a skit that was being done, and she was the one organizing it. She was an English teacher, and she was one of the best English teachers that I've ever seen up until now. And I went there, and I got like this very small part. And like towards the end, I just have to come and scream something, and I did that. And then after the skit and everything, I saw the teacher again later. And she was the one who told me. I was very introverted at that time. The only thing I did was the skit. But she looked into my face and she was like, I see something. And I want to see you as the head boy of the school. And I was like, social anxiety. But then, and she taught me a lot regarding to acting, regarding to writing. She told me how to use some words, how to modulate some of the words, how to pronounce some of the words properly. She taught me a lot. And a year later, she was retiring, she was leaving. And she again met me and she was like, remember what I said? And then she said one thing, and that stays close to my. She was like, you're special. And nobody really has like specifically told that to me to my face. And especially when I was broken, I had no friends. I was new to the whole place. I was, not at all, secure about myself. And she goes and says, you're special, and I see something, and that kind of helped me grow, I say. And when I reached 10th and I wanted to, bring a change into me, that was the first voice I remembered. She was like, you are going to be the head boy sooner or later, right? And then I was like, yes. I answered that question 2 years later in my mind. And then I went and did it. So when I talk about a teacher, even though I did not achieve anything, I was failing in most of the things at that time, she was the one person who told me, you have something there.
Awesome.
So, yeah. That teacher. Yeah, her name is Rashmi.
Hi Rashmi ma'am, if you're listening to this, we are so proud you just did that to Ellen. Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, that's the one.
And I have a teacher that was the first teacher in my life, like the first standard teacher, Usha teacher. And she was the one that gave me the dream to become a teacher. So that's the one thing I wanted to cherish. And I wanted to meet her after I completed my studies. And I wanted to say something. I'm waiting for that.
I think I shall cry. I wanted to say something.
I will cry. That's why I just.
That's why she cut short the answer. I think so.
Yeah, the best teacher memory for me is from a student actually. Like when I was in 9th, so the first year in the basketball team, and there was a senior, like super senior. He was in 12th at that time. And he used to play multiple sports, like super talented athletic guy. But he had a broken nose back then. Like so, he played like 2-3 events before that, and like due to some clash or something, he broke his nose. So he was sitting simply, and it was like my second or third practice like for the team for the first time actually. So like with a broken nose, so it was like that's the first time like he came up to me and was teaching me like the proper shooting form and action and all. So like he didn't have to like normally like that senior like attitude will be there to juniors. They don't give a shit and all. So like he came up to me and taught me like the proper shooting form. And every once in a while, like after that year, he left the school. In 10th, 11th, I think multiple people have like who have played with him has come up to me and said like you have that person's shooting action. Like you remind me of his name was Blossom. So people come and tell me you remind me of Blossom. You have the exact same shooting action as him. So like that used to make me happy. Yeah, that's my favorite teacher memory.
For me, it's not a teacher that taught me. I'll say something about my mother experience. So my mom is a teacher. She has been a teacher since 25 years almost now. So for small students, okay, LP lower primary students. So she has been teaching them only. She has never gone above that. She didn't want to. She wanted to teach small students always. And I remember this one incident. We were at a cousin's house, and the cousin is around 24, 25 years of age. Okay, around our age itself at that time. It happened 5 years ago. I was small, and me and Umma was talking with his wife and all at that time in a different room. And into the guest room, this cousin's friend comes in. And he was sitting there, he was randomly talking, and then he heard Umma's voice from behind. And he said, "Is that Shirjini teacher?" I was shocked. I was like, just from a sound, and my mother taught him at his lower primary ages, probably when he was in his 3rd standard or 2nd standard. And he remembered Umma just by the sound. And then when Umma came out, he was like, "I tried all my way to try to meet you, teacher, but I couldn't see how things just fell in place to meet you." It was actually, I didn't have a very good teacher relationship till then. I'll be very honest, I used to don't like any of my teachers, okay, because I felt very left out with them. They always ignored me, so I didn't like all my teachers. At that time, at that moment, I felt like, man, it means a lot to be a teacher. For them to remember that this teacher is special after so many years. He's also 26, 27 years old. Somebody who taught him in his 2nd class, he's recognizing by just my mother's voice. I was like, "Oh, mother, like you were this good teacher?" I didn't even know. So imagine how many lives she would have influenced by just that 25 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, that's too cool. I also
Teachers
have a
of that
conversation.
age will stay always close to her.
Yeah, I have a teacher. Her name is Sini C. Lewis, and she's my English teacher. Not because she's a good teacher, but she's the one who introduced me to the world of books. So she's the one who imbibed the quality of reading in me, and she gifted a book. And I'm a person who goes behind the vocabulary. I like to use different words in, especially I'm studying in +1 and +2. I try and find new words and to use in that examination and all the passage writing.
Shashi Tharoor vibes.
Yeah,
No, Joey vibes.
There is a jargon for that. There's a jargon for that person.
Okay,
Like a person
I should
who
teacher using jargon conveniently.
so
I forgot the word.
after my first exam of +1 English, and she came to me and asked, how you developing your vocabulary. So I told that I have an app in my phone, so I try and pick out some words and I will use it in the okay. And she said, are you into reading? No, not really. And I like to read. So she gifted me Wings of Fire.
APJ
She gifted me Wings of Fire, and she said that, okay, if you want really you want to develop your vocabulary, start reading. And that also get in you take you to a different world. So she's a teacher that we can vibe with like a student. She doesn't give me a vibe of a teacher. She's a good friend. We can go out and tell anything to that woman, not as a teacher. We can share it all our sorrows, and we can share, okay, I like this girl, okay ma'am, I like this girl, okay, we'll figure it out. That's a kind of vibe she will give to every student. So last covid or last final covid, there is a lockdown. I texted her after 6 years or 7 years. I texted her. I get contact from my school friend. I texted, and she was so surprised, and she asked me to call. And after that lockdown, she wanted me to meet her in real. And we had a conversation, and I asked you, how about the new generation of students? You are teaching the same syllabus, same subject for past maybe when I am joining, she's in the 10th year of her teaching career, and now additional 6 years is gone. So I asked her how it is so relevant to teach the same thing for the last 16 years. Are you bored of teaching this same thing? And she said that every year is different, man. Every student is teaching me a lot of things, and I'm okay. Coming to the ages, every generation is disappointing by age as a teacher, but I'm learning a lot new from them. I'm also molding myself a teacher. So that was an interesting conversation I had with
It's
my
rare
teacher.
to find teachers with that perspective, actually.
Being a teacher is not at all easy, right?
Not at all.
Like there is a lot that goes behind. It's not about teaching 3 or 4 hours in classes or like colleges or schools. Right? There is
But maintaining that connection.
hours of work. Yeah.
And we have a perception that the teachers knows everything. And one of my other teacher, her name is Bindu Pinar, and she used to say that teachers are not walking encyclopedia. You can't have that kind of perception. They also need to study. They also need to update everything. So don't pretend that teachers know everything. You can also have the room to teach them.
Canva from one of my students, and he taught me how to use that.
What, just
My
now,
mom-
when you said Bindu ma'am, I just like, what, it just clicked. Okay, so I have very similar to what others' story is. I think many of you might know about that teacher also. The teacher to whom I actually wrote for our event also. So we had an event, right, to write an open letter to our teacher on the teacher's day. So on that day also, I wrote to the same person. She was the headmistress of our school in Saudi Arabia. So I did only my 8th, 9th, and 10th there. So I had a very difficult time with language. Nobody will believe when I say this, but I used to write just like how you say.
We'll believe.
So okay. And then I used to like somewhat similar to what Ishan of Tare is a mean per situation. I used to write words like how you say. If it is T and actually the spelling is D, I'll still write T only. So I had a very tough time writing. I always had that, but I loved language. Okay, so it was very hard for me to accept that I can write or I should write. So this teacher, I think everybody knows it, but she asked me to write about something. It was an assignment, like it was a homework in the class. And she made us write. And I was like, oh, I have to write now. I'll be embarrassed in front of the class. I know something will go wrong. I was sure about that. And I wrote, and I still remember. And this teacher has amazing qualities. Okay, we are 8th, 9th, and 10th students. We are bigger students. But still, she checks her notebooks and writes comments in the notebook. She sticks stickers. All of that she does. So we are so excited to get back our notebooks after correction. So she gives amazing homeworks also. So I'll never forget any of the chapters in my English textbook for that 8th, 9th, and I still have those notebooks with me. So I remember in this poem she had I had wrote about a death of a small kid. So she had put a small round, an oval shaped stick, and said my drop of tear. I've never read something that made me cry and all of that. I was like, what? No, this is not true. She took a printout of it and she sent it to the principal of the school. And then the principal wrote a note for me and sent back to me. That was a huge affirmation. And then there was this thing that after 2:00 when the class gets over, she says after the class every 10 minutes you have to spend with me. Since you like language, come and spend with me. And she used to make me sit there. She used to teach me 10 words every day with spellings and grammar, and she used to leave me like that. And then after 3 years in 10th standard, I don't even believe that I represented my college for the school for spelling bee competition. The same person who was facing all these problems with spelling. That was all because of her. And my mother used to say, since I switched my career to being a writer, my mother used to always say, call her up. And I used to say, no, not now. I needed something that she can say that I can say, yeah, this is the time I want to say her. And recently, after something came out, I just went to her. I said, hi, ma'am. I had her number with me for a long time. Like for 2 or 3 years, I had her number with me. So she taught me in 10th standard, okay? So it's 10 years now. And then I texted her saying, ma'am, this is Hajra Fidan. And once she said, oh, you're talking about that poem, no? Which you wrote about the death of a kid. I'm like, she remembers this still now. And one thing that will always strike me is, she said she used to write very well. She had a blog and all at that time. So she said to me one thing that I used to casually ask her, why don't you write anymore, ma'am? Your blog there's no updates in the blog. And she said, now you have inspired me to write. I'll begin it again. It was a special moment. I'll keep it for life. That moment, I'll definitely keep that one. Teachers are such.
I have one question, Hajra.
Yeah.
Why so dark?
Come on.
God, what is dark? It's so nice.
I mean, you're in 8th or 7th grade, and you're writing about death of a child.
Oh no! It was not randomly. My uncle's kid died on birth.
Okay.
So at that point, that was the thing that came into my mind. I didn't randomly think about something.
No. There are two connections I'm finding. Okay, before I say my teachers, there are two connections I'm finding. In the two things that I said. Look, one thing is the connection with the literature teachers, especially English. I think every one of us will be having some English teacher at some phase of life that has impacted a lot. Maybe the reason what I'm finding is conversation, because English is taught mostly through conversations or through conversational manners. And maybe that's the reason why most of us find an attachment to English. That's one conclusion I just suddenly got. Another thing is with writing about the death of a child. I think when we are children, especially, these things really affect us. Especially the things that affects children affect us. Right now, I think it's for the age, because right now most of the things that affect us are things that affect youth. Right? The same way when we are young, I still remember one of the first things that I've ever written was to a child that was dead in Syria. I still remember, I don't know how many of you remember, there was this one picture of a child who near a beach. Yeah, exactly. That is, I think that's the first thing that I remember.
Picture, no?
That's the first thing I remember
Something
that
like
writing.
Kurdi, right?
Yeah, his name.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, two connections. Awesome.
I have one last memory to share about when you put on the literature connection to it. No, so about the same teacher, I have a very vulnerable phase in the +1 and +2 because I come from a CBSE school that they will spoon feed everything. I'm like an Amul baby. Yeah, I have pampered a lot by the teachers. But when I come to the government school, I was so offended by all the activities they are doing. They are not minding me. They are not caring me, pampering me. If you want, you come and study. There is some kind of an attitude, so that shattered me a lot. So and that moment, I don't know, still there is that poem in the +1 and +2 English syllabus. It's a letter wrote by Abraham Lincoln to her teacher, how to train his son. And there is two lines that strike me. Bullies are easiest to lick, and there is a hero in every villain. There is a villain in every hero.
Yeah.
So that's two line, and my teacher told me that this is something you need to remember for the life. If you are studying, you will be studying physics, you will be studying biology and all sort of things. But this poem, you can read to your death till you are in this world. You can find readings from this poem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
one
very
more
true.
thing I would like to add actually.
Come
Yeah,
on.
it was not just the students who like they said they reminded me of lesson. It actually teachers also. So we both
Oh, is it?
took up this.
I think,
We,
yeah. Sorry.
uh,
Go on.
we both took this same course as well. So commerce math. So we both had like similar teachers. So every single time, every single teacher which we have shared, right? So they'll come up to you and say, "You remind me of Blesson." Like Blesson was like academically very strong. Like he was really brilliant. So and he never used to sit in class, and still he used to top in almost every subject. So every time when not top in all subjects, like top in accounts. So every time someone like even I used to score pretty good in accounts. So they'll come up to me and say like, "You remind me of
Humble,
Blesson."
pretty good.
Like you remind me of Blesson actually. Like yeah, like because I never sit in
What
class,
to
but I
say?
still score for
I'm a
accounts.
scholar, topper.
Okay, so all of you, okay, I'll
Okay,
just
okay.
add my teacher. Okay, all of you spoke about people who have directly interacted with you and changed your life. But I want to talk about, like, obviously there are like a lot of people who will be there, obviously like teachers, students, friends, and all that. But I want to talk about few people who don't even know that they are my teachers, because I've never met them, but I have learned from them. One among them being like the Nike's global head
Andrew Tate.
coach, Bennett. Okay, this person, I found Bennett through Nike running app with his recorded runs. The things he say, I would definitely recommend to anyone. If you feel like your day is not going well, just you don't even have to run. Just put down your headphones and just walk around your house. You will listen to some of the most beautiful things that ever someone will ever say to you. It'll be very conversational, and those are like life changing. COVID was one of the first phase of COVID was one of the hardest phases of my life, toughest phases of my life, and Bennett was one of the person who helped me. Another one being like Jay Shetty and Ali Abdal, and another person being like
Ali Abdal is
yeah
one of my favorites.
Jay Shetty and Ali Abdal. Jay Shetty, I don't know, I have multiple perspectives about Jay Shetty. Like, I'm not saying, okay, like whatever he says, like, completely right and all that. But he have taught me a lot about ethics. Like the effort that a person can put while managing so many things, especially relationships and with the work. Because he being a monk and coming, like that's a different story. I don't want to cover that up. But if you look at the number of content he put out every week, it's too much. It's like gazillion loads of content. The way he scaled his content game is something that I don't think anyone else would match up, because he's coming up with podcast, he's doing reels, he's doing videos, he's doing some other type of content. There are so many things he's doing, and still he's managing everything. And obviously there are so many things he could learn from that. Ali Abdal, being a doctor, now completely an educator about YouTube and content creation and productivity. That's something, a different scale. I really admire. And again, another person that I want to say again, just to mention, is again my current boss, Haris. I just want to say, and I would just definitely, I don't know whether he'll listen to this or not. Even yesterday we were having a conversation while in the car about so many different things. And I don't know, like if I'm working right now over here, that is pure. I don't know if it's just me. I know if it's not just me, because there are like a lot of people who see him as as a person who have accomplished a lot. But I see him as an educator, and that is why exactly I'm here. I'm even sitting in the office right now. So that's one thing. And one more thing I want to add, I've mentioned about Bennett, and I've mentioned about Ali Abdal, and I've mentioned about like Jay Shetty. And I really want one day all of them to be in this podcast, this like ConnecTree podcast one day.
Manifesting it.
Yeah, I'm just manifesting that, like one day to be here and have a conversation. And another one person or a group of people who have done that is ConnecTree. Definitely ConnecTree. Like whether it is the lead over here or the entire group, I've learned so many things. Like so many things in the sense, literally, I don't know how much. It was a lot of change in a lot of different things, and I'm never a person who have never been shy to change my opinions, and I'm constantly changing my opinions day by day. And one of the reason being that is again my constant exploration for ConnecTree and with ConnecTree. That is one thing. Another again being all the students I've met while I was working with my previous company. They have taught me a lot as well. That is like, it is them who have made me create my first, who gave me the confidence to create my videos or to step out of, my comfort zone and think of, okay, nobody's going to judge me because they have never judged me from day one. That's the first thing. So yeah, these are the few teachers who I just wanted to mention.
Since you said about JCT and all, I want to share one of my constant energy seeker or validation seeker. It's not a seeker. She is not alive right now. It's Dittu Krishnamurthy. And I discovered 1 year before about Dittu Krishnamurthy, and he makes a lot of sense, the things he's saying. Because initially I used to listen his classes and his speeches over California and all different parts of the world. I didn't get what he's telling, but I bought a book called Dittu Krishnamurthy and Important Questions, and he explained there is a different type of questions, and he is answering with a different perspective about freedom, about relationship, about people, and about teachers. And there is one thing he used to say that it's not the teachers important, it's the teachings important. Here the teachers are being madly followed, not the teachings. And he's also putting out one important thing, that even though he is saying something or anybody is saying something, just put into your thought, just filter it out, and after all the retrospections, all the all the things that you can do with that thought in your mind, and still it makes sense, follow that, or else leave it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like one thing from Rizwan, no offense, but since I started running, I started listening to Coach Bennett. Yeah, Coach Bennett is amazing for the first half an hour and stuff. But after the first half an hour, 45 minutes in, when you are dead tired, he'll come and ask you, how are you?
Yeah,
How you
obviously. Why not? No, that's the point, right? He's like, okay, it's not about running 45 minutes. Okay, it's not about running 45 minutes, 1 hour or 2 hours. It's about how you feel when you're running, and that's exactly what he's doing. How are you feeling?
How are you doing today?
Yeah.
What did you eat?
He's like, I don't know. Shut the hell up.
Yeah. Awesome. So coming to the next,
distracts. It works actually. Yeah.
Awesome.
It's irritating.
Yeah. Awesome. Also, I'll just take just a second to mention Chalchitra Talks because
Chalchitra Talks,
because whatever the content game that we are playing right now at ConnecTree, it's most I would say more than 50% of whatever we have implemented. So many things we have inspired from Chalchitra Talks. Azhar introduced me to Chalchitra Talks. It's a YouTube channel. They create a lot of content, and I think we are also taking a lot of inspiration. So just putting it out there as well.
Thanks to Vaibhav, thanks to Ani, thanks to Hindol, thanks to
Disha.
Chalchitra Talks is like an amazing YouTube channel. I have seen one
everybody
of the videos where Rohan Joshi comes. Rohan Joshi is recommending his favorite books, subreddits,
they're asking literally the recommendation. It's for everybody.
Yeah, awesome. It's a beautiful channel. Lot of insights and lot of values within some time, and a lot of people have been.
Check out Chalchitra Talk.
Yeah,
if you like
people. If you like, and not only like ConnecTree, you do follow Chalchitra Talks because they are the ones who put that idea to our mind as well. So we want to create a lot of people, and we want to help. actually inspired from them,
Yeah.
and we don't have any shame in saying that, and we still want to bring them also into our podcast,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
No worries.
Vibe and Vani, and have
Exactly.
a
You know, one
discussion.
day,
Soon.
when we were coming up with this new recommendation thing, we were saying, I was saying to Azhar, like Azhar was saying to me, dude, one day if at all someone from Chalsa Talks come and visit our page, they'll be like, is this their page or is this our page? Because most of the things you can find it over there. So yeah, big shout out one day again, waiting. I think we should do one podcast for all the guests we want over here and
Yeah.
discuss them. Yeah, awesome.